Have you noticed your legs feeling weaker lately? Maybe you're slower getting out of a chair or stairs feel steeper than they used to. It might not be age alone. It could be something in your daily diet. Let's talk about a few fruits that quietly chip away at your leg strength. You might not believe it, but I want to start with a fruit that almost everyone thinks is a healthy go-to snack: grapes. Yep, those sweet little things you might be popping in your mouth while watching TV, adding to your lunch plate. They seem harmless, even helpful, right? But here's what I've seen. Time and time again, especially with folks over 60, grapes can do more harm than good when it comes to keeping your legs strong and steady. See, grapes are loaded with sugar. Naturally occurring, yes, but sugar is sugar to your body. And in older adults, our systems just don't process it like they used to. What happens is that high sugar intake, even from fruit, can lead to spikes in blood sugar followed by crashes. And over time, those ups and downs can cause inflammation in your blood vessels and nerves, especially the ones that feed into your legs. That inflammation, it can show up as weakness, tingling, fatigue, or just that heavy leg feeling you can't quite explain. Now, I'm not saying grapes are evil, but if you're eating a bowl of them every day, or snacking mindlessly throughout the day, your legs might be paying the price, and you deserve better than that. I remember one woman in particular. Her name's Mary, from Tucson, 72 years old. She's the kind of person who's always tried to eat clean, as she puts it. No candy, no soda. But grapes? Oh, she loved them. Especially after dinner, she'd fill a small bowl and relax with a book. When Mary came to see me, she mentioned how she'd started feeling unsteady on her feet. Not exactly dizzy, but like her legs just didn't want to cooperate some days. She was also struggling with stiffness in her calves when getting up from the sofa. We ran a few basic tests, and while everything looked fine on paper, I had a hunch. I asked about her diet, and when she told me about the nightly grape routine, I suggested she ease off, just for 2 weeks, and switch to some lower sugar fruits instead. At first, she hesitated. "But it's fruit," she said. "I get that, it feels unfair, doesn't it?" But she trusted me. 2 weeks later, she came back and told me she felt lighter, not weight-wise, but in her legs, like they weren't dragging her down anymore. And that little change, just swapping one habit, made her feel more in control of her body again. Another gentleman I worked with, James from Ohio, 69 years old, had a similar story. His doctor had ruled out diabetes, but he kept experiencing numbness in his feet and blamed it on shoes. Turns out he was eating a mix of grapes and raisins as a daily snack. Once we cut back and balanced things with some protein and fiber, the difference in his energy and stability shocked even him. What often helps in these cases is swapping grapes for berries like blueberries, raspberries, or even strawberries. They have a much lower glycemic index, which means they won't spike your blood sugar nearly as much. Try mixing a small handful with a few nuts or a spoonful of Greek yogurt. That way, you're still getting something sweet, but your body handles it better, and your legs will thank you. You don't have to give up fruit altogether. But being mindful of which ones support your strength versus which ones quietly chip away at it. That's the kind of small choice that leads to real change. Our legs are our freedom, especially as we age. They carry us through the grocery store, out to see friends, or simply down the hall when we need a glass of water at night. When they feel strong, we feel capable, and when they don't, the world starts to feel smaller. So let this be your quiet reminder. Your body is always talking. You just have to decide to listen. And when you do, even small changes like choosing different fruit can help you walk a little taller. Let's move on to another fruit that surprises a lot of people: bananas. They're easy, they're filling, and they're often seen as a good choice for older adults. And while bananas do have benefits like potassium and fiber, there's a side of them that can work against your leg strength if you're not careful, especially as you get older. Here's the thing: ripe bananas, especially the soft, spotty kind most people like, have a high glycemic load. That means they raise your blood sugar quickly, much like a sugary snack would. And if you're not active enough to burn off that sugar, your body stores it. This constant rise and crash in blood sugar doesn't just affect your energy levels, it can also weaken your circulation over time. And when blood doesn't flow as well to your legs, you may start to notice fatigue, cramping, and even swelling. What's more, bananas are rich in natural sugars and starches, and while that's not inherently bad in older adults with slower metabolism, this can lead to an imbalance. Too many carbs, not enough protein or healthy fat. That imbalance may increase inflammation, which directly affects the small vessels and nerves in your legs, and once those are irritated, it becomes harder to maintain muscle tone and strength. You might not notice it all at once, but over weeks and months it adds up. I remember Harold, 68, from Jacksonville. He was a kind, practical guy who didn't cook much. Every morning for breakfast, he'd have coffee and 2 bananas. Easy and cheap, he said with a shrug. At first, that routine seemed to work fine, but after about 6 months, he noticed his ankles started to swell by the afternoon, and he had this strange tiredness in his thighs anytime he tried to walk, up more than 1 flight of stairs. His doctor ran tests. Nothing alarming came back. Blood pressure, heart, kidneys, all okay. But Harold still didn't feel like himself. When we talked through his eating habits, I gently pointed out the issue with having 2 bananas a day with no balance, no protein, no fiber. He agreed. To cut back to half a banana and pair it with a boiled egg or a slice of whole grain toast with almond butter. Within 3 weeks, his swelling had decreased noticeably, and he said he didn't feel as weighed down anymore. His energy in the legs came back slowly but surely. I thought I was just getting older, he said. Didn't realize I was eating my way into the problem. And then there's Eileen, 73, from Portland. She used to slice a banana over her cereal every morning and have another one mid-afternoon. When she started having nighttime leg cramps, she blamed dehydration. Turned out she was overdoing the sugar and not replacing the minerals her body needed. With just a few swaps, she started sleeping better and waking up stronger. One of the simplest changes you can make is to reduce your banana intake to half at a time and pair it with a protein or a fat. A hard-boiled egg, a tablespoon of peanut, butter, or even a few almonds can help slow the sugar absorption and protect your energy throughout the day. And if your bananas are very ripe, consider using greener ones. They're lower in sugar and higher in resistant starch, which supports gut health and energy regulation. This isn't about avoiding bananas forever. It's about balance. And that balance is what helps your legs feel more stable, less swollen, and ready to carry you wherever life takes you. The truth is, the food we eat either fuels us or drains us, and it's not always easy to tell which is which until we stop and pay attention. But when you do, when you listen closely to what your body is telling you, you realize how powerful even small shifts can be. Choosing how and when you eat your fruit isn't just about health. It's about giving yourself the strength to keep doing the things you love without letting your legs hold you back. Here's another one that might come as a surprise. Oranges, or more specifically, eating a lot of oranges or drinking orange juice every day. They're refreshing, they feel light, and they're loaded with vitamin C, so how could something so bright and sunny be working against your legs? Let me explain what I've seen over the years. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to acidity and sugar, even the natural kind. Oranges, especially when eaten frequently or in large amounts, can irritate your digestive system and subtly throw off your electrolyte balance. That's because citrus fruits increase acid load, which for some older adults leads to mineral depletion. Important nutrients like magnesium and potassium get used up trying to neutralize that acid. And when your body is low on those minerals, your leg muscles are the first to notice. Through cramps, weakness, or that odd restless leg feeling at night, orange juice is often even worse. 1 small glass may have the juice of 3 to 4 oranges, and without the fiber, that means your blood sugar spikes quickly and your body has to work harder to bring it back down. In the short term, you may just feel tired or shaky. In the long run, though, this process wears on your nerves and circulation. And for your legs, that means slower recovery, more stiffness, and less strength overall. I once worked with Loretta, 75, from Sacramento. Sweet woman, loved her morning routine. Every day she'd peel 2 oranges while her coffee brewed and eat them while reading the paper. She believed it was the healthiest part of her day. But then she started having strange nighttime cramps in her calves, sharp, sudden, and painful. At first she thought it was dehydration, so she drank more water. When that didn't help, her doctor prescribed magnesium. Still, the cramps came back. That's when I asked her about her diet and she mentioned her orange habit. I gently explained how in some older adults, too much citrus can cause the body to lose more magnesium and potassium than it takes in. She agreed to switch things up. 1 orange a few times a week instead of 2 every day, and a little cooked spinach or a banana in moderation, added to her meals. Within 2 weeks, the cramps stopped waking her up. Then there was Fred, 70, from Georgia. He had a long-standing habit of drinking a glass of orange juice with breakfast every morning for decades, but he couldn't understand why his legs felt heavy and sluggish by lunchtime. His walk around the block became shorter and slower. He even bought new shoes, thinking that might help. When we took a look at his breakfast, I suggested trying warm lemon water instead and replacing juice with whole fruit and a bit of protein. The change was subtle but steady. Within a month, Fred said he felt like his legs woke up again. One simple step that helps many people is cutting back on orange juice altogether and limiting oranges to no more than 1 a day and not every day. If you're craving something citrusy, try a few slices of cucumber with lemon or water infused with mint and orange peel. You still get the refreshing taste without the blood sugar or acid overload. You don't have to stop enjoying the flavors you love. But learning how they affect your body now in this season of life is how you take your power back. Small changes can bring surprising strength. Sometimes strength isn't about lifting something heavy. It's about lifting yourself out of habits that no longer serve you. Like a gardener pulling a weed to make room for better growth, you're creating space for energy, comfort, and ease. You deserve legs that carry you, not ones that complain, and it's never too late to help them thrive. Next up is one that a lot of folks look forward to during the summer months: watermelon. It's juicy, sweet, and feels like the perfect way to cool down on a hot day. And don't get me wrong, it has its perks. Hydration, some vitamins, and it's certainly better than cake. But when it comes to your leg strength, especially if you're over 60, watermelon can be sneaky. See, watermelon has one of the highest glycemic indexes of any fruit. That means it causes a rapid rise in blood sugar when you eat it. And when your blood sugar jumps quickly, your body has to rush to bring it down. For older adults, this roller coaster puts stress on the blood vessels, especially those in the lower limbs. Over time, that strain can show up as poor circulation, fluid retention, and, you guessed it, tired, heavy legs. There's another piece to the puzzle. Watermelon has a natural diuretic effect, meaning it can make you urinate more. That might seem like a good thing. But when you're losing fluids too fast, your body also flushes out important minerals like potassium and magnesium. Without those minerals, your muscles, especially in your legs, may feel weak, crampy, or shaky, and that's not something you want interfering with your walks, your balance, or even getting out of a chair comfortably. I think back to Bill, 70, from Little Rock. Every July and August, he'd slice up a big bowl of watermelon and keep it in the fridge. He said it was his afternoon treat. But after a couple of months, he started noticing a heaviness in his knees and ankles, especially after sitting a while. At first, he chalked it up to arthritis, but when it got to the point where he had to grab onto furniture just to stand up, he came in to talk. We reviewed his habits, and I gently asked about his diet. When I heard about the daily watermelon, I explained how its sugar and fluid loss effects could be contributing to his symptoms. I suggested he cut back to a few slices, once or twice a week, and increase foods rich in magnesium like almonds and leafy greens. It wasn't a dramatic change, but after 2 weeks he told me, "Doc, I feel like someone took the sandbags off my legs." Then there was Deborah, 74, from Phoenix. She loved making watermelon smoothies. Every morning, she'd blend watermelon with ice and drink it instead of breakfast. She thought it was a light, hydrating start to her day. But by noon, she felt weak and dizzy, sometimes even lightheaded while walking from the kitchen to the porch. It turned out she was low on electrolytes and wasn't getting enough protein to start her day. When she switched to a boiled egg and half an avocado in the morning, with watermelon as an occasional snack, her stability and focus returned. What often helps is treating watermelon like a seasonal treat, not a daily staple. Try limiting it to 2 or 3 times a week, and when you do enjoy it, keep the portion small, just a cup or so, and pair it with a handful of nuts or a little cheese. That slows the sugar absorption and helps maintain the minerals your muscles need to stay strong. Your body doesn't need perfect, it needs thoughtful, it needs balance. Watermelon can still be part of your summer, but only if you make room for what your legs truly need to stay steady and strong. You deserve legs that feel dependable, that carry you without complaint. And sometimes that means saying, "Not today," to foods that seem harmless but drain your strength over time. You're not giving up pleasure. You're choosing power. Power to move, to go, to live fully. That's something worth protecting. Now let's talk about a type of fruit that hides in plain sight on many pantry shelves: canned fruits. Maybe it's peaches in syrup, maybe pears, maybe a little fruit cocktail that brings back memories of lunch trays and summer afternoons. It feels comforting, familiar, easy. But for older adults, canned fruit, especially the kind packed in syrup, can quietly rob your legs of the strength and stability they need most. Here's why. Those syrups are packed with added sugar, often more than a candy bar. And when fruit sits in that sugary liquid for weeks or months, it soaks it up. So even though you're eating something that looks like fruit, your body reacts to it more like dessert. For people over 60, this kind of sugar overload leads to inflammation, especially in the small blood vessels that serve the legs and feet. That inflammation isn't just about aches. It can slow blood flow, weaken the muscles, and make your legs feel tired or heavy. Plus, many canned fruits contain preservatives that can irritate your digestive system or kidneys if eaten too often. For those already dealing with circulation issues, diabetes, or blood pressure challenges, that's a risk you don't want to add to your plate. The truth is, your legs are very sensitive to what you eat, even more than you might expect, and canned fruit in syrup is one of those things that can seem innocent, but brings slow, steady harm over time. Donna, 74, from Minneapolis, had a routine she'd followed for years. Every morning she added canned peaches to her oatmeal. "I like the softness," she told me. "They're easy to chew and they taste sweet." But she'd also started noticing that her walks were getting shorter, her legs would tire quickly, and her calves ached even after sitting down. We looked through her food habits and saw the pattern: too much added sugar from those peaches, not enough fiber or protein in her morning meals. I explained how those syrups were essentially flooding her system with sugar first thing in the morning. She was shocked. It never occurred to her that something sold as fruit could be causing trouble. Donna agreed to try switching to fresh or frozen peaches without syrup and added a sprinkle of chopped walnuts to her oatmeal for balance. A month later, she said she didn't feel like she needed to brace herself every time she stood up. There's also Marvin, 71, from Kansas City. He didn't have much appetite in the evenings, so he'd often just open a can of fruit cocktail and call it dinner. "I figure it's better than skipping a meal," he said, but over time his blood sugar started creeping up and he began experiencing swelling in his lower legs. His doctor warned him about circulation issues, and Marvin came to me for help. Together we built a small evening routine, some cottage cheese with sliced fresh apple or pear. Within weeks the swelling improved, and he said his legs didn't feel like they were made of wet cement anymore. One simple tip I often share is this: if the fruit is floating in syrup, it's not helping your legs. Choose fresh fruit when you can, or go for frozen. Just make sure there's no added sugar on the label. If canned is your only option, pick fruit labeled in its own juice or no sugar added, then rinse it under cool water before eating, and try to pair it with a small portion of protein like yogurt or nuts to soften the sugar impact. This change doesn't have to be hard. It's just a small step in a gentler, smarter direction. Your legs will feel the difference even before your taste buds do. The strength in your legs isn't just about exercise, it's about what fuels you. And while comfort food brings memories, not all of it brings health. You're allowed to change how you nourish yourself, to make room for more strength, more energy, and more life. You're not giving up. You're growing wiser with every bite. Now let's spend a minute on a pair of fruits that often show up in healthy-looking snack bowls: dates and figs. They're natural, they're sweet, and for many folks they seem like a smart choice compared to candy or cookies. But here's the thing: when it comes to protecting your leg strength, especially after 60, dried fruits like dates and figs can quietly work against you. What makes them tricky is how concentrated they are. When fruit is dried, the water is removed, but the sugar stays behind, along with the calories and carbohydrates. So just a few pieces of dried fruit can deliver a sugar hit equal to a whole candy bar, sometimes more. That matters, especially for older adults, because our metabolism slows down with age. That means your body can't process sugar as quickly, and high-sugar foods start building up effects over time: increased inflammation, spikes in blood sugar, and more strain on your blood vessels. And when your circulation struggles, it's your legs that suffer first. Another hidden issue is how often dates and figs are eaten on their own, just a handful here and there, no protein, no fiber to balance them out. That leads to sugar highs followed by crashes, which can make your legs feel weak, unsteady, or even tingly. I've seen this happen in folks who thought they were making a healthy choice. It's not about blaming the fruit, it's about understanding how it works in your body now. Robert, 69, from Denver, had picked up a habit he thought was helping him. Every day around 3 p.m., when he felt his energy dipping, he'd eat 3 or 4 dried figs. "It's better than a cookie," he told me. And he wasn't wrong. On paper, figs have fiber and minerals. But within a few months, Robert started noticing a strange tightness in his calves, especially when climbing stairs. He also mentioned feeling shaky if he didn't eat something else soon after. When we looked closer at his routine, I explained how dried fruits, especially eaten alone, can cause sugar spikes and drops that mess with energy and leg strength. I suggested he cut down to 1 fig at a time and always eat it with a small handful of almonds or a boiled egg. Within a few weeks, Robert said he could take stairs more confidently, and the tightness had eased. Then there was Carol, 72, from Bakersfield. She kept dates in a jar on the kitchen counter and would grab one whenever she passed by. "They help with digestion," she said. But she also started feeling unsteady when standing for long periods, like at the sink or folding laundry. She assumed it was just part of aging. But when we talked through her habits, I showed her how those quick bites were flooding her body with sugar without much nutrition to support it. After switching to whole fruits like apples and including a bit of cheese or nut butter, Carol felt steadier on her feet and more full between meals. What often helps is treating dried fruits like a special touch, not a go-to snack. If you enjoy dates or figs, try limiting yourself to 1 at a time, and only when paired with something that slows digestion, like a spoon of peanut butter, some yogurt, or a few nuts. That way you still enjoy the taste, but your body handles it better, and your legs stay more stable. You don't have to say goodbye to sweet things altogether. You just need to find the version of sweetness that supports your energy instead of draining it. And that starts with knowing your body's needs now, not 10 years ago. Sometimes strength comes from subtraction, from gently letting go of habits that aren't serving you anymore. You deserve steady legs, peaceful walks, and the quiet pride of knowing you're taking care of yourself in thoughtful ways. That's not about restriction. That's about respect for the life you've lived and the life still ahead. Let's finish with something that looks healthy at first glance, but often turns out to be a hidden sugar bomb: store-bought fruit. Smoothies. You see them in pretty bottles with labels showing pictures of bananas, berries, or tropical fruits, promising vitamins and energy. But for older adults trying to protect their leg strength, these smoothies can quietly do more harm than good. The problem lies in what's inside. Most commercial smoothies are made with fruit juice concentrates, pureed fruits, and sometimes even added sugars or syrups. Even when they don't list sugar as an ingredient, the combination of several sweet fruits, without the fiber or protein to balance it out, leads to a huge spike in blood sugar. That sudden rush can leave you feeling jittery at first, then drained later. And when this cycle repeats daily, it puts a real strain on your circulation and muscles, especially in the legs. Your legs rely on steady energy, strong blood flow, and a good balance of minerals to stay firm and responsive. But sugary smoothies can pull nutrients out of your system too fast and leave you dehydrated and fatigued. Over time, that can lead to weakness when walking, poor balance, or difficulty getting up from chairs. It's easy to think you're doing something good for yourself, when really your body is quietly struggling to keep up. Susan, 71, from Asheville, was one of my most cheerful clients. Every morning she drank a bottled fruit smoothie that she picked up at the grocery store. "It's my health kick," she'd say with a smile. But by lunchtime she felt drained, even if she hadn't done much. Her legs felt heavy, and some days she needed to lie down just to recover her energy. When she described her routine, the smoothie stood out. I looked at the label. It had 45 grams of sugar, almost as much as a can of soda. No fiber, no protein. I gently explained how, even though it seemed healthy, her body was treating it like candy. She was surprised, but open. We worked on a simple change, replacing the smoothie with a small breakfast that included a boiled egg, some whole grain toast, and a few slices of avocado. Within 2 weeks, she said her legs felt alive again, and her energy held steady through the day. There's also Daniel, 69, from Seattle. He loved the idea of smoothies because he didn't feel like cooking in the morning, but the ones he grabbed from the gas station were packed with fruit blends and hidden sweeteners. His blood sugar was borderline high, and he started having trouble with swelling in his feet. After switching to a homemade drink, just plain yogurt, spinach, and frozen berries, he saw the swelling go down and noticed he could stand longer without needing a break. One easy step that helps many people is making your own smoothie at home, with real balance. Use unsweetened yogurt or kefir, a small handful of spinach or kale, and just a few pieces of fruit, like half a banana or a few frozen berries. Add in some flaxseed or chia for healthy fat and fiber. Or skip smoothies altogether and go for a small breakfast that includes protein, like eggs or cottage cheese. Your legs and your energy will thank you. You're not giving up smoothies forever. You're giving up the kind that work against you. The ones that support you will always be there, waiting to be made with care and purpose. You've just taken a big step toward protecting one of the most important things you have, your strength. It's not about being perfect or cutting out everything you enjoy. It's about listening to your body and choosing what helps it carry you forward. You're not alone. You're stronger than you think. And life? It keeps walking with you when you walk with care.